Hello guys, so today we are going to be using Firestore with a Flutter app. So the idea is to use a stream for like constant to basically get the constant changes in our database, as well as we are going to add and delete the data in the database. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm just going to remove this code, and by the way, this is a completely new project, so we need to connect our data, our app with the database. So I'm just going to open the browser, and in the browser I've created a new project. So this is a brand new project in our Firebase. So I'm just going to click on this Flutter option, next, and activate my Dart. So let me just open the command prompt, and in the command prompt I just press enter and wait for it. So okay, so it's activated. Now I can copy the second command and open the terminal. So in the terminal I just paste this is the automated way of using Flutter Fire CLI. So if you want a video on that, like you need a tutorial on that, I'll just paste a description in the I'll paste a link in the description. You can use it and access it. So there's a complete video on how to set up Flutter Fire CLI in our system to basically use the automated feature. So let's just wait for it, and when it's done I'll continue the video. Okay, so our apps are connected, and now we can just close this terminal. Okay, so in here we want to have two packages. So the first one is the Firebase core. I'm just going to copy this Cloud Firestore because we need it as well. So I'm just going to go in the pubspec.yaml file, and in here I just paste Cloud Firestore, and we need to have Firebase core. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it in here because we need these two packages. Okay, after that what we want is that in here we want to have widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialize. Without this we will get an error, so we have to add this line. And in here we can go into the Firebase, and we have done these two things. So the next thing is that we want to copy this and paste it in our main function. So we have to make the main function async, and then we have to import Firebase and the options. Okay, so this is fine. Now I've removed the home, so that's why I'm getting an error. So I'm just going to create a folder as screens, and in the screen, let's say what one is a stream screen dot. Okay, so in the stream screen we want to create a stateful widget, and it will be a stream screen. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to use a stream builder in here, so that's why I'm like I'll call it as stream screen. There is not an issue in this, so it depends on you. Okay, so in the body we want to have a list view builder. Okay, so the items will be coming from the database itself. So I'm just going to make a new file in here, or we can just call the folder methods and add a file in there. So let's just say it as Firestore methods dot. So in the Firestore methods dot, what we want to do is that we want to basically make a stream that will listen to the changes into the database. So in here I can make a class as class Firestore methods, and there will be a variable as Firebase final Firebase Firestore. Firebase Firestore is equals to Firebase Firestore dot instance. Okay, so we now have to make two functions. So we will be like returning a stream from it. So we can just like say this, and it will be a list, and the type will be dynamic. So there's not like haven't made any specific class, so the type will be dynamic, or we can just say it as string because we will just be returning the names of the document. So like I'll just say it as get documents, and this function will have nothing else than this, and it will return Firebase Firestore dot collection. And in the collection, let's just make a variable in here, string collection name is equals to, let's say, documents, or we can just say it as docs. Okay, so we are going to use this name, and in here I'm going to just paste it. Okay, so we have like told the Firebase to like the name of the collection, so we want to get all of the values in the collection. Okay, so for that we just want to get the snapshots, so we will get the snapshot, and then we are just going to like map it, and in the map what we can return is that for, or we can just make a list in here, and in the list it will be a simple string. So in the list, let's say list is equals to empty. We are going to initialize this as empty, and after that what we can do is that we are going to iterate over all the values in the event that we are getting, and then we use that to basically like add it all in the list. We can use this way, or what we can do is that in here, instead of like iterating by ourselves, we can use event dot docs dot map, and the map will give us an element, and we can get the e dot id. So we need to basically get the id of our document in the collection in our Firestore. So, and just we will just convert it to a list, and we can return it as return event.docs.map, and this will return the names of our documents. Okay, so what we want to do now is that we can in here like add a function. So this function will be responsible for adding the data in our collection. So we're just going to make a function, let's say void add data, and it will be, let's say we can get the id from like the app, or what we can do is that we can add the id by ourselves. So like we can just name it. Okay, so what we can do is that in here there will be an async function. So let's just make it as, okay, so in the add data function what we want to do is that we will use the Firebase Firestore dot collection, and the collection name will be the same. So the collection name is there, and then we want to do is we want to give a name as talk. So the talk will be, let's say we can just make an integer variable over here, and when we press on the like plus icon, we can like increment the document in the database. Or what we can do is that we will give a specific number by itself, or like we will increment the values by the length of the values that are in the database. So let's just make it as like this. So first what we want to do is like, let's say we are getting a reference, and we can get the collection dot the collection, and then we want to get snapshots that actually we have to use get instead of snapshot. Basically it will be a one-time value, so we will get the data then, and we can just remove it from here. This function we will remove it from here because like we got the collection reference, and now we can use this reference to basically get the values. So we will do is ref dot get dot dot, we can just get the value as 10, and after that what we can do is we will get the value, so value dot docs dot length. So in this way we will get the values, basically get the length of the like all the data in the docs. So it means that let's say we have 10 collections in our database, so we will get 10 from the like this in length. Okay, so we are just getting the length, means that how many documents are there in a collection. So let's just make it as length, and let's say it's 0 for like initial, and it will end. So length is equals to ref dot get dot value okay, so I'm getting an error in here, and what it is, a collection. Okay, so this value will be await, and just remove it. Okay, so now what we can do is that we have got the length. Now what we want to do is that we are going to use the same collection reference, and then we are going to create a document. So the document name will be the same as length dot to string. Okay, so that will be the thing, and then we can set a map. So the map can be empty, or we can do what we can do is we can add a map of basically the document name. So let's say name, or we can say doc name, and this value will be let's say length dot to string. Okay, so we will use this, and this function will basically set the data in our database. Okay, so now I'm just going to remove this list view.builder as of now, and basically run our application. So I'm just going to give the name it as stream, and or we can say stream screen. I'm not getting an option over here. Okay, so we got the option. So I'm just going to run the application, and when it's like open, I will continue. Okay, so one of the issue over here that we got is that we need to change the minimum SDK version. So we are going to go into the Android folder in the app, and in the app level build.gradle, what we want to do is that we need to come down into the minimum SDK version and make it, let's say, 21 for now. And now if we rerun my application, it will open. Okay, so our app is up and running, and in here we can see that the stream screen doesn't have anything other than scaffold, so it's basically showing a white screen. So I'm just going to create a body in here, and in the body I'm going to use stream builder, and okay, so the stream builder will take a context and a snapshot, and we have to return from it. But before that, I'm just going to use stream. So what we can do is we can make it I'm going to create a variable in here. So let's just make it as Firestore methods, and Firestore methods equals to Firestore methods. I've created the instance of the Firestore methods class that I created before, and now I'm just going to use the Firestore methods dot get documents. Okay, so now in here what we want to do is we want to create, we basically return the list that we are getting from the stream. So I'm just going to make it as list view dot builder, so we can basically make it custom and index. Okay, so we are going to return a list style, and in here what we want to do is give a title. So the title will be a text, and the text will contain the name of the like document that we are getting from the the Firestore. So let's just make it as snapshot dot data dot, or we can just use it because we are getting a string. Oh sorry, we are getting a list, so we are just going to basically using the values from that list. So let's just make it a variable as string, or and we can say that string name is equals to this. So in here what we want to do is give the name, so the name, and after that in the trailing I want to give a button to basically delete the values from the Firestore. So what we want to do is we will use an icon button, and in the on press I'll just add the functionality later, and in here what I want to do is icon, and the icons will be icons dot delete. Okay, so this is done, and in here we are getting an error because the data can be null. So let's just use a null check operator, and after that yeah have to use semicolon. Okay, in here as well. Okay, so now it's done, and in here we are going to take the name and giving it to this. Okay, so we might get an error because we are not using any, we didn't get any value from the backend. Okay, so in here we will use a check. So if the check says, let's say snapshot dot connection state is equals to connection state dot done, or let's just say we are waiting for it as of now. So in here what we want to do is we want to return a center, and in the center the child will have a circular progress indicator. So this means that we are still waiting for the response from the stream. Other than that, else if we have the snapshot dot connection state is equals to connection state dot done, it means that we have the stream has ended, and there's the response that was to that has to come is completed. So now what we are going to do is copy this listview.builder and paste it in here, but before that we need to check that after the completion is there any data that we got from the database. So if snapshot dot has data, it means that after the snapshot basically the stream terminated, it got some values from the Firebase database, so Firestore database. So I'm just going to paste it in here, and other than that we can use, or we can just make it a fallback. So return, and the return will be a center text, nothing to show, or we can say just there is no text, there is nothing. Now we shouldn't get any error. Okay, and it's in the connection state dot waiting. Okay, it's taking a long time. Okay, but one more issue is that we didn't enable the Firestore database in our project. So if I go in this build, and we can see the Firestore database, so we have to enable the Firestore database in our project in the Firebase console. So you can see that it shows there is nothing. So the connection state like has terminated, and we didn't get anything, so there is nothing to show. Okay, so we are going to create the database, and we can do it something like this, and going to the next, enable. Let's just wait for it. Okay, you can change the rules by yourself, um, if you want. So the rules can be, we can just remove it, and it will mean that we want to allow the read and writes like for everyone, and there will be no expiration date. So you can just do that over here. So now if I restart my app, I'll get the same, there is nothing, because we haven't done anything in the, like, we haven't added any data in our database. So let's add some data. So first of all, we are going to make it constant, and we are going to use a floating action button. So the floating action button will be used to add the data. So if I click on, let's say we are going to use the same instance, Firestore methods dot add data. Okay, and now if I click on this, and let's just see, are we getting any error or not? Sometimes the collection doesn't create by itself, so we have to do it manually. So if you can see that on clicking over here, we have created a collection as docs, and then in the docs we are using 0. Okay, so the doc name is also 0, but we haven't got anything in this in here. So what's the error? Let's see it. So if snapshot dot has data, we are going to use this, else we are going to use this. Okay, so there's another problem. We haven't told it anything that if, like, the connection done state dot done, or the connection state dot waiting doesn't go off. So in that case, what we can do is, in here we can return a circular progress indicator. Okay, so the issue is that I used else if connection state dot done, but in the case of stream, the connection state doesn't terminate. So that's why I'm just going to remove this, and without it, we can just check that if snapshot dot has data, then we want to show the data, else we can just copy this and we can just say there is no data. And we won't be actually needing it because we are using the else statement, so everything is covered up. So you can see that we can see that there is the data, that the data is coming, but we don't want it to be like that. We actually need the index, and in here, instead of 0, I'm just going to use index, and in the item count I'll give snapshot dot data dot, okay, it will be length. Okay, and the data will be this. Okay, so I added another document. I'll just press on the add button and it will add another document. Okay, so you can see that we are getting the documents added up. So we can just make it like this, and in here I'll just give it a child, and the child will be icon dot add. So it looks a bit more good. Okay, so if I click on this, you can see that the document is getting added in the database. As you can see in here, we have total of 6 documents, and if I press on it, we can see that the number is increasing, and we can see in both the database as well as in our device. Okay, so now if you want to remove any of like this document, we want to basically remove it using the ID that it's using. So the ID is like this. So now if I press on, or if I make a function in the Firestore methods and use it from here, so it will be a much good criteria. So let's just say we want to delete, and it will be an async function. Okay, so in here we want to basically use the same reference. Okay, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it in here. And now what you want to do is we want to basically dot doc dot delete. So the delete will be used to basically delete the doc, but we need to have the ID of that doc. So I'm just going to get the ID as a parameter. So I'm going to paste it in here, and now when I call the delete, so it will be Firestore methods dot delete, and in the delete we need to give the ID. So the ID is the same as name, so in here we will use Firestore methods dot delete and we will give the name. So if I want to remove the 9th, so I'm just going to open Firebase as well, and if I want to remove the 9th, so the 9th is removed. If I want to remove the 7th, the 7th is removed. If I want to remove the 5th, the 5th is removed. If I want to remove the 0th, like the first one, the 0 will be removed. Okay, so everything is removed. But now if I add, we can see that the error comes up because 1 2 3 4 5 6, so the values are 6 and we actually have the 6th variable. So if I press enter, the value is not changing. So because we have the 6 already present in the database, so it's just updating the document, and if there isn't anything to update, that's why there is no change like reflected in here. So if I just remove 6 and press enter, you can see that we get a 5. So like in the real world application you will not be using it like this. So if I remove all of these and start clicking, you can see that we are getting the documents. So if I just remove the 12th, the 12th gets removed. 11th, the 11th gets removed. The 10th, the 10th gets removed. So that's all for now, and we have today learned like how we can get the data from the database, as well as delete the data from the database, and how we can actually like upload the data. So that's all for now. This way was a simple way of uploading a data. So in here we can basically we were setting the map in the document, so we can change the document to whatever I want. Like we can use custom classes like custom models and all. So it all depends on the workflow. So that's all for now. Thank you.